Namaste all. Today we are going to discuss an interesting topic. Our Republic Day celebrations are over. On 26th January we have celebrated our Republic Day. Why we have taken 26th January 1950 as the date on which India has become republic, and we are celebrating 26th January as the Republic Day. I studied Constitution 3 decades back when I studied in the third year of my LLB studies. When I went through the Constitution, particularly the preamble, it was echoing like a poem for me. The poetic starting of preamble that actually prompted me to learn it by rote. We, the people of India, having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic, and to secure to all its citizens justice, social, economic, and political, liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith, and worship, equality of status and of opportunity, and to promote among them all fraternity, assuring the dignity of the individual and the unity and integrity of this nation. We, on this 26th day of November 1949, do hereby adopt, enact, and give to ourselves this constitution. What a wonderful ideals which are inscribed in the preamble to the constitution. Justice, equality, fraternity, all are assured by the people of India in the constitution of the republic itself. The people say that we will strive to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic, and to secure to all its citizens justice, social, economic, and political, liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith, and worship, equality of status, and of opportunity. So these are the ideals which were set by the people of India for the leaders of the nation to follow and strive to achieve. When we go through the preamble to the constitution, we see a date, that is 26th November 1949. 26th November 1949 is the date on which the constitution was adopted by the people of India, and the members of the Constituent Assembly signed the constitution on 24th January 1950. Then why we are celebrating, why we have taken 26th January 1950 as the Republic Day? Of course, it is true that on 26th November 1949 is contained in the Constitution's preamble, and it has got its signification and sanctity in the Constitution itself. But can we see any article in the Constitution which would sanctify the date 26th January 1950? So this was a curious issue for me, and it was also haunting me for some time. I wanted to get an answer, for which I ransacked the Constitution. I came across the last part of the Constitution, that is part 22 of the Constitution, wherein I could see two articles, Articles 393 and Article 394 of the Constitution. Article 393 is dealing with the nomenclature close to the Constitution, and Article 394 is specifically dealing with the date of commencement of the Constitution. Article 393 says, that is the nomenclature says, this Constitution shall be called the Constitution of India. Significantly, it does not contain the name Bharat, though in Article 1, it is very clearly and specifically provided the nature of the Republic. The nature of the Republic is, that is, the India, that is Bharat, shall be a union of states. That is what Article 1 says. But when the nomenclature of the Constitution is taken, Article 393 says, this Constitution shall be the Constitution of India, and it does not contain the name word, but it does not contain Bharat along with this. Why it was not carried? why the name Bharat was not carried in Article 393 when the nomenclature of the Constitution was done. H.P. Kamath, who was the prominent member and who was one of the prominent members of the Constituent Assembly who had taken active participation in the deliberations in the Constituent Assembly, raised a doubt as to why Bharat has not been included in Article 393 when the Constitution was christened. Why the Constitution is christened only as the Constitution of India instead of Constitution of India or Bharat? Actually, no answer was found in the Constituent Assembly debates. But T.T. Krishnamacharya was trying to explain why it has not been included. But the explanation that was given by T.T. Krishnamacharya was not so convincing. So this is the way in which Article 393, that is a nomenclature clause, was coined. Next comes Article 394, which is very important as far as our present discussion is concerned. Article 394 is dealing with the commencement of the Constitution. Article 394 says, I am not repeating the exact words. Article 394 in essence is Articles 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 60, 324, 366 and some other articles will come into force at once. Immediately it would come into force. But the other remaining provisions of the Constitution will come into force on 26th January 1950, which day shall be referred to as the date of commencement of the Constitution. So I got the answer in Article 394 of the Constitution. This is the article where January 26th, 1950 is sanctified and made a part of the Constitution itself. So that is how I think, this is my presumption and my understanding of the Constitution and the events which were preceding the making of the Constitution are correct. 26th January 1950 is the date on which the provisions of the Constitution have come into force. I wanted to know why 26th January 1950 was taken as the date of commencement of the Constitution. I was very certain that it has got some relevance in the history of India, some significations in the history of India. I went through the history of the freedom struggle. In 1927, the Simon Commission visited India. The Simon Commission was formed by the British government for exploring the possibilities of political and constitutional reforms in India. It was boycotted by the people of India for the reason that it did not include the representatives of political parties in India, particularly the International Congress. After the visit of the Simon Commission, the International Congress constituted a committee under the chairmanship of Motilal Nehru. The committee submitted a report, and the report was to the effect that the freedom movement shall be aimed at getting the dominion status from the British Crown. But this dominion status was objected to by a sizable section of the International Congress. The dominion status, if conferred, would not have given complete freedom to India. If we were conceding for dominion status, we will have to accept, we had to accept the British Crown as the constitutional head of India. Like the way in which the democracies in Canada, Australia and New Zealand were working. So this report was also not acceptable. Motilal Committee report was not acceptable to the majority of the International Congress. The Lahore session of the International Congress was held in December 1929. The issue regarding dominion status was thoroughly discussed in the session. Majority of the delegates did not accept the dominion status. They wanted to have complete independence, that is Purna Swaraj. A resolution was adopted in the Lahore session of the International Congress held on 19th December 1929, demanding complete Swaraj, that is Purna Swaraj, that is complete freedom. On 31st December 1929, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru hoisted the tri-flag for the first time on the banks of River Ravi. The International Congress further decided to celebrate 26th January 1930 as the Independence Day. It is in commemoration of the said event. The framers of the Constitution included 26th January 1950 as the date of commencement of the Constitution. When I went through the Constituent Assembly debates, I could see some discussions and deliberations on this point. H.P. Kamath, while discussing Article 314, which is the article that is corresponding to the present Article 394, he said why we are taking 26th January as the date of commencement of the Constitution. He suggested that 26th January should be taken as the Independence Day, and we should find out some dates in January itself for celebrating the same as the Republic Day. And he was also advocating for two important sanctified days in January itself in the national calendar for the people of India to celebrate. While searching for the relevance of the date, 26th January, in the constitutional history of India, I chanced upon the deliberations which happened on 24th January 1950. The Constituent Assembly met on 24th January 1950 to conclude its proceedings. It starts with a speech from the President of the Constituent Assembly, Dr. Rajendra Prasad. At the outset itself, he addressed the members that one issue was haunting for us for some time. That is something that is relating to the national anthem to be selected. He said that we earlier decided to move a resolution adopting the national anthem. Which one has to be taken as the national anthem? Is it Vande Mataram or Jana Gana Mana? Dr. Rajendra Prasad proceeded to say, instead of moving a resolution, I will make a statement with regard to the adoption of a national anthem. Then he said, the composition of Jana Gana Mana shall be the national anthem of India, and at the same time, Vande Mataram shall be given equal status and honor along with Jana Gana Mana. At the end of the proceedings, on 24th January 1950, that is the last session of the Constituent Assembly, all the members stood up and they sang Jana Gana Mana in unison, followed by Vande Mataram. This is the way in which we have given constitutional status to our national anthem and also Vande Mataram. For Vande Mataram and national anthem, Jana Gana Mana, equal status and honor was conferred by the Constituent Assembly. Now we are concluding this topic, once again mentioning Article 394 of the Constitution, which sanctifies the date 26th January 1950. Article 394 says all the provisions except some few articles of the Constitution would come into force on 26th January 1950, and the day shall be referred to as the date of commencement of the Constitution. Thus, with the aid of Article 394 of the Constitution, the preamble and other provisions of the Constitution comes into force. It is in the preamble we declare that we are a sovereign republic. So, with the declaration in Article 394 of the Constitution, making 26th January 1950 as the date of commencement of the Constitution, the Republic is born.